Hello, good evening, good day, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from. Hi, everyone, welcome to today's session on spotting mental health red flags in your teen. I am Ruth Benro, your favorite counselor, right? Okay, so I am certified child and adolescent counselor, a teens coach, and a family life coach. Right, this shows that I'm just passionate about helping you as a parent, supporting your parenting journey, supporting your children's emotional well-being, right? Yes, thank you all for joining. Parenting a teenager or an adolescent, of course, we're looking at teenagers are children aged 13 to 19, right? Adolescents are people ages 10 to 25, some say 10 to 19. Okay, so when you hear teenagers, 19, just not talking about young ones, okay? Amazing. So when we are parenting teenagers, most times it feels like a roller coaster, right? Yes. So 1 minute they're happy, roller coaster, and then the other minute they are distant, they are upset, they are moody. But hey, how do you know if this is just teenager mood swing or when it's real mental health concern, right? So in this video, of course, we're going to be breaking down the red flags you should never ignore and how you can step in before things escalate. Welcome and thank you once again for joining. Hey, but before we dive into today's bottom pot talk, right? Let me know in the comment section what's one thing your teen does that makes you wonder if they're okay. So in this week, today, there's something that your teenager has done, and then you're wondering, is this teenager okay? Okay, and then the next one could be, have you ever noticed sudden changes in your teenagers or in the way they behave? I want to see your comments in the section, right? So have you noticed any sudden change, right, in your teenager? Now, before we spot mental health red flags, right, we're going to be looking at what is mental health, right? As a mental health advocate, it's a topic I love or enjoy so much, and of course, it will be mental health, right? So what is teens mental health? Please confirm you can hear me. Is anyone watching? Sorry, let me just check. Have you ever noticed? Thank you. I'm just be sure. Okay, because last week I just went on talking for a while. Okay, so what is teen mental health? What is teen mental? And Chamaka, I see you. Welcome. What is teen mental health? So teen mental health refers to the emotional, psychological, and social well-being of teenagers. Hi, Emmanuel. Hi, sir. Welcome. Right. It affects how they think, how they feel, and how they behave in their everyday life. So when you hear mental health, don't think Yaba. No, I'm not talking about Yaba left, right? So how does your teenager think? How do they behave every day? How do they feel? Now, a good mental health will help your teen to cope with stress, will help them to build healthy relationships, and make them make positive decisions. So when we talk about mental health, what are the various aspects of a teen's mental health? Today we are going to be looking at 4 aspects of teens' mental health. Number 1 will be their emotional well-being. Now, this is the ability for your teen to manage their emotions. And of course, we know we have various emotions like happiness, yes, sad, angry, joy, love. So how is your teen able to manage these emotions? Emotional well-being, number 1. Number 2 will be cognitive health. How your teen processes thoughts, how they make decisions, and how do they handle challenges that come their way. That's mental health. Adize, I see you. Thanks for joining in. Number 3 will be behavioral health. How they react to situations, how they form habits, and how they interact with people. So as I talk, just look at your teen, picture your adolescent, and then try to see if you can answer this question. How do they react to situations? How do they form habits? And how do they interact with others? That's their behavioral health. And then the last aspect for tonight will be social well-being. Now, this is the ability to build strong relationships with friends, family, peers. So the ability for your teenager to bond with friends, to be able to relax around family members, to know that, hey, this is home, my siblings are here, these are my parents, and then they feel free. Or they are withdrawn. Of course, there are always two sides, right, to the coin. Now, the ability to build strong relationships with family, friends, of course, is an aspect of mental health, and that's the social well-being. Now, the next question you want to ask is, why does this matter? Hey, Counselor Ruth, what are you saying? Why are you saying this? Now, a mentally healthy teen is more likely to succeed in school, maintain positive relationships, and handle life challenges. However, when these untreated mental health issues, when you leave them untreated, when you notice some signs in your children or your teenagers or your students, you're a teacher, and then you feel it doesn't matter, trust me, they will struggle academically. They will get involved in risky behaviors, for instance, self-harm, right? And then, of course, this will lead to long-term emotional difficulties. As a guidance counselor, I have seen firsthand children who have mental health challenges. And trust me, if you don't nip it in the bud, it becomes something else. Now, in this day and time, we have teens' mental health, and then it's a major concern because it's increasing over time. There are various reasons why young children, why young people would face mental health challenges. I'll be mentioning some. Number 1 will be rising mental health issues. Now, studies, this is researchable, right? Studies have shown that anxiety, depression, and stress among teenagers have significantly increased in recent years. And somebody will be like, teenagers, are they stressed? What is stressing them? When they are not paying school fees or house rent, they're not even providing for themselves. Hey, there's so many things that can cause stress to teenagers, right? Yeah, so we'll look at that some other time. But hey, they undergo depression too. Yes, and we've seen teenagers who are depressed. Of course, we've heard of teenagers who committed suicide. The story is everywhere, right? So don't say, teenagers. Yeah, they are human beings too, don't forget, right? And then, of course, the World Health Organization, WHO, reports that suicide is one of the leading causes of death amongst 15 to 19 years old. Last year, 2 years ago, we hear of stories where a girl committed suicide because her best friend snatched her boyfriend. We've heard of situations where a boy was talking, of course, to one of these AI boxes, right? And then, of course, led to suicide. We've seen issues. Again, there's a rise in mental health breakdown amongst our teenagers. We can go on, listing instances, but please let's catch this, right? And number 2, social media and digital overload. You may want to, after now check statistics, just check how many teenagers are online. Is it Snapchat? Is it TikTok? Is it Facebook? Is it on Instagram? Our teenagers are now on the media like never before, right? They spend hours there. And then, of course, this would lead to comparative anxiety because they're always comparing themselves with who they are seeing online. Of course, we've seen cyberbullying. It's very recent now. I'm actually, undergoing a study now on the effect of cyberbullying and all of that, right? And then, of course, we've seen low self-esteem. When you feel you're not good enough, when you feel you're inferior to your other friend. Now, the pressure to maintain a perfect online image affects their confidence and their mental well-being. I once had a student who, at that time, had developed ulcer. Why? Because when she puts her picture So that time she was in SS1. When she puts a picture that's year 10 online, she doesn't have as much likes as her friend. And so she decided to go on dieting so that she can have a perfect shape, so that when she puts her picture online, she will have many likes. Again, pressure to all right. So we have teenagers who want more like, they want to say, hey, hi, you know. Even we as adults, we put pictures online and then we want to constantly check how many likes does he have. So talk about teenagers. All right, yeah, so daily, this is increasing, but perfect. And then forgetting that everybody puts their best foot outside. That's straight from that day, all right? Cool. Number 3 will be academic and career pressure. Now, high expectations from we parents, teachers, school, society creates stress for these teenagers. Now, in one of my videos, I had mentioned that it's good, of course, that we put expectation on our children. But when you know the kind of child you have, then of course, the expectations you put on them should be according to their strength. Let's not pressure these children necessarily, right? So many of these teenagers would struggle with burnout, perfectionism, and then of course the fear of failure. We have an increase in the rate of anxiety nowadays, right? Because you're anxious. What if I don't pass? What if I'm not the best? What if I don't have 7 A's? Why? It's good to aim big. But when it now turns to anxiousness or anxiety disorder, then of course we want to watch it. Hi, Chrissy, good to see you. Okay, number 4 will be family and relationship issues. You know how the family is path. It's a big system when it comes to the teenagers' mental health. Daddy and mommy is fighting, the teenagers are watching. You're abusing each other, the children are watching. There's this divorce going on. Daddy has gone for counseling. Mommy is seeing a counselor. Nobody's talking about the children. Nobody's talking about the teenagers. They'll be fine. I mean, they will come over it. And then the child is just saying, oh, maybe she has even heard mommy say, I wouldn't have given birth to you. If I had no child, I would have left this marriage. And then, so many things. And then the child is just saying, I'm even the cause of my parents' worry. Or if I was not here, mom would have been free. A lot goes on in their head. And their mommy and dad is just, going on their own business, divorcing, quarreling, fighting, and then the children are watching. And nobody's attending to them, and just leave them in that state of mess. It can mess up with their mental health. Okay, and then of course we know teenagers, they need support at this age. The adolescents, it's a stage where they need support like no other. And then their number 1 cheerleaders are now fighting. Imagine what would happen to them, right? And then of course with PTA, it's an activity in school. The teenager goes to school, mommy and daddies of other people are there. For him or her, maybe that the father or the mother or none of them, so many drama that comes with it really affects our teenagers. Peer pressure will always be there. Toxic friendship too would affect the mental health of our teenagers. Okay, number 5 is lack of coping skills. Teenagers who have not developed healthy coping skills will have struggle with their mental health. Now, of course, we've seen teenagers who self-harm, who have gone into substance abuse, and eventually they will become withdrawn. Okay, now if they've not learned resilience, how to bounce back when life throws stones at them. Someone says when life throws you lemon, make lemonade from it, right? Now, if our children have not been built, if their resilience skills have not been cultivated, then of course they will struggle. 6 will be trauma and unresolved emotional pain. Children who are bullied, who have been exposed to violence, like dad is fighting mommy in the house, is chaos, you beat them, child abuse, or they've even lost somebody, right? I say something that an uncle dies in the family, grandparents dies, and everybody is saying sorry to mommy and daddy, and nobody is looking at the teenager. Hello, the teenager lost an uncle or a grandparent too. So when you're telling your friend sorry, These people should look at the children too, the teenagers, okay? So when all of these go without, children also grieve, teenagers also grieve. When they go without being treated, of course, it can lead to a long-term mental health issue. And finally, for today, number 7 will be stigma around mental health. In this part of the world, we really don't talk much about mental health, right? But it's something that we should not shy away from. Teenagers can also undergo mental health. And so, I remember when a teenager was telling me that she was telling her mom that she was depressed. I mean, that was like depressed, wow. Meanwhile, at that time, that teenager was taking, I wouldn't want to call the drug she was taking, but she was taking 16 pills of that drug. Why? So that she can die. I've seen teenagers here that they do things, so that they don't just wake up. And then a parent is saying, what are you thinking about? What is causing you stress? Why are you depressed? Please, let's reduce the stigma around mental health. Because once the child knows that I'm not accepted here, nobody feels or believes what I'm going through, they see themselves as being weak, or they've already judged them. And so they would not speak up. Don't forget that speaking up early is key to prevention, is key to getting better. Right, someone who has been depressed for 1 or 2 weeks would receive treatment, respond better to someone who has been depressed for 3-4 months. Okay, yeah. Now, let's encourage our teenagers to speak up. We'll get to that part. Now, untreated mental health issues in teenagers will lead to poor academic performance, we said that, strained relationships, risky behaviors, and then of course, long-time emotional stress. Now, don't forget, like, as adults, mommy, daddy, we have friends that we can talk to. Over time, we would have, have 1 or 2 persons, to talk to. But these teenagers, truly, they may not know how to express themselves, right? And then, managing their emotions may be difficult. Then, of course, they may now want to engage. You see that it's a cycle, right? They do not engage in coping skills that are not very healthy, okay? Now, as parents, teachers, educators, please let's be close to these people. Let them know that I have somebody that I can talk to. Okay. Now, of course, what are the mental health red flags that we want to watch out for? Don't forget, we're looking at spotting mental health red flags in our teenagers. But I just had to, talk about what mental health is, the aspect, and different areas of their lives that can affect teenagers. So now, how can we spot mental health red flags in our children? Like I said, early intervention support is key to making them bounce back easily, right? Now, what are the things you want to watch out for? Their parents. Number 1 will be changes in mood. Changes in mood. Now, when our teenagers have frequent mood swing, this moment this child is happy, the next moment they are sad. This moment they are laughing, and then in a twinkle of an eye, they are moody. It's like, don't touch me. They now become easily irritable. They are not, and then you're like, what's happening? It's from just, it's one extreme to another. This moment they are laughing, another moment they're sad. Hi, Engineer Agbero, I cite you. Right, welcome, sir. Right, now, it's something you want to watch out for. Increased anger or aggression. All of a sudden, we're looking at changes in mood. You notice that your teenager just gets angry easily. Any small thing, any small, something that, hey, guy, calm down, what's happening? So if you notice that your child, that's why you will go back to our previous video. Now, who is your child? A child that has been very peaceful, because it takes someone who knows their child, who has been connecting with their child, to notice these changes. So a child who has been peaceful, playful, and all of a sudden is easily angered, like the anger is, you're like, what's happening? Somebody says something and normally he's supposed to laugh or just, and then he's taking it serious, he's turning into fight or quarrel, and you want to watch it, right? So increase anger and aggression. lots of interest in things they love doing. You have a teenager that loves playing football, that loves singing, she loves dancing, she loves playing games, hanging out with friends, and all of a sudden you've noticed that 3, 4 days, 5 days, you're not doing that activity. It's something that you should watch out for. Don't say, maybe he's tired of it. So why is he not playing football? Why is he not singing? Why is he not playing that instrument? So if they lose interest in the things that they once enjoyed, then it's something that you want to watch out for. We're looking at spotting mental health red flags, right? Yes. That's changes in mood. Number 2 would be changes in behavior. So have you noticed that your child is now withdrawn? The teenager around you is now withdrawn from families and friends. They're now keeping to their rooms or to themselves. You know how we can all be here and somebody's in his own corner. You want to watch out for that. Withdrawal from family and friends. Then avoiding social activities and isolating themselves. You're going for a party, you're going to meet people. I don't care. He's in his room, he doesn't want to go out. He goes out with you and he's in his own corner. You want to watch out for that. Sudden drop in school performance. Of course, don't just say, he's lazy, he's not reading. Yeah, maybe you want to ask why. So, of course, it could be anxiety, it could be stress, it could be depression. Please, when you notice sudden drop in school performance, don't say, maybe it's the teacher, maybe, don't give excuses for them. Please ask questions, okay? Number 3 would be sleep and appetite issues. Now, and it goes both ends. Is your teenager finding it difficult to sleep? You know how the child is on the bed, but he or she is just rolling. They're not sleeping. They're just rolling. Or they're sleeping too much. So it's two sides. Either they're oversleeping or they're not even sleeping. Also, changes in eating habits. It's either they're eating more, that's overeating, or not even eating at all. Of course, this will lead in changes in weight. So if you notice that your teenager suddenly put in weight or suddenly is losing weight, you want to check it. I shared a story of how a girl who wanted her pictures to be liked more, right, on this social media started stabbing herself. So if your child who eats before and all of a sudden is not eating again, you want to ask yourself, what has happened? Because there's a tendency that they've heard that in class that you're too big, you're too fat, only you can finish an elephant. And then the child is saying, okay, I'll not eat again. Yes. Okay, so it could be other way, or we've seen slim persons too that they say, you're too slim, wind can even blow you. And she was like, I'm too slim, wind will blow me, and then she starts eating. Again, it can be on any side of the divide. So please let's watch out. Increased anxiety and fear will be number 4. So when you have a teenager who is constantly lost in thought, she's worrying, he's worrying, and then of course they are expressing excessive fear. It's time for tests, it's time for exams, they're afraid, and then they say it. I'm not sure I'm prepared, I'm not sure, what if the test is hard, what if so let's listen to them. So they are panic attacks, signs of nervousness, they are shaking, their heart is beating, but like you can almost hear their hearts, want to jump out from your body, something that you should watch out for. Number 5 is risky or self-destructive behavior. We've seen children who now wear, of course, most schools wear, secondary school, they wear blazers, what we call suits, blazers. Sometimes it's cardigan. So if it's Monday, the weather is hot. On Tuesday, and then you see your child is always on. You see that particular girl, always on her blazers. I'm like, okay, I know the AC is on. It's not as though it's compulsory that you wear it all the time. But then we didn't know she was trying to hide her cuts. Right? So some teenagers, they cut themselves and then they're hiding it. And then you say, so your teenager is always covering her body. He's always covering his body. Let's respect their privacy, yes. But, just watch out. Just watch out for signs of self-harm, Yes, but some of them are actually engaging in self-harm. Why? Because they just feel that one of the days I'll just bleed to death. One of these days I'll just die. And some of them tried. So it's something that we want to watch out for. And then, of course, some of them will even express suicidal thought or feelings. They will even say, I think the world will be better without me. If you have a child, what's your goal? What do you want to become in the future? And then the child is saying nothing. The child does not even see a future. And then you're like, I think more better, without me. Please, let's be careful. Let's, put our ears down. Let's be observant of what they say. Some of them have actually expressed societal, and then we just feel that they are joking. No, they are not joking. Okay, number 6 is substance use. Use of alcohol, drugs, or vaping as a coping mechanism. Yes, so many teenagers have started engaging in drinking and smoking, all in a bit to, cope. But again, they're just flying from fry pan into fire, right? And then physical symptoms of unexplained headaches. Every now and then, the child is telling you, "Mommy, my head is paining me, my body is paining me, my stomach is paining me, I'm tired." The child wakes up in the morning, the first thing, and then he's already saying she's tired. He has not done anything. And then you're like, did you farm in your dream? Right? Yeah, so when we notice frequent unexplained headaches, body aches, stomach pain, we want to ask our children, our teenagers, what's happening. And of course, finally, would be expressions of hopelessness. So we have teenagers who are constantly saying, what's the point? I can't anymore. I can't do this. So let's be careful to listen to their thoughts when they voice it out. So are you experiencing or are you witnessing your teenager speak out, making statements of hopelessness? Please, you want to take it very serious. Those are red flags that we want to watch out for. Now, how do we respond as a parent? How do you respond as a teacher, as an educator, school owner, Sunday school teacher, imam? How do you respond? Again, as a parent, this is very key for you. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Observe your patterns and behavior over time. Again, it takes a parent who have studied his or her child, who is very observant, to notice the changes, right? Yeah, so observe your patterns and behavior over time. And so when you now notice this is not how this child behaves, do not sweep it under the carpet. Pick it up and investigate, right? Keep an eye on any sudden change. Now, if you see a change today, please monitor that change, because for depression, for instance, to happen, and of course that child must have been constantly sad for at least a period of 2 weeks, right? So any change you have noticed over the period of 2 weeks is something that should bother you. Okay, now as a parent, how do you respond? Number 2 will be start a conversation. Don't just say let him or she be there. They'll come around. It might never come around. We heard a story of a woman who saw her child always going to the room. She wasn't talking, and then she just felt one of these days she will come around. It was a sad story because she committed suicide, and she just felt, if I knew, I should have reached out, right? So use open-ended questions. I've noticed you've been quiet of recent. Do you want to talk about it? Right, I've noticed you've been quiet of recent. I've noticed you've been in your room. I've noticed you're not as cheerful as you are. Please, do you want to talk about it? And please, avoid blaming them. Don't forget that we talked about last week that when things, when they sense that you will blame them or you judge them, they will keep to themselves, right? So don't blame them. Don't judge them once they come out to talk about it. Provide a safe space. If there's something that has been consistent over time, you would have heard me sing and say, please be a safe haven. Make your home a safe space for these children. Let them know that I can talk to mommy without any fear of punishment, without any fear of judgment, right? You want to provide a safe space for them. And then, of course, their parents, if you are not able to help them, okay, now they've spoken to you, you can't help them, or you just say that this child is losing it, she's not herself, and it's been like 1 week, 2 weeks, please seek help. Seek help. Okay, so you can reach out to Counselor Ruth. Hi, yes, I'm a professional counselor. Please seek help. I've dealt with issues on depression, with self-harm, with pornography. Please reach out. Help is available, right? Your teen might not want to open up to you, but trust me, we've been trained on how to make things talk and open up, and then we can help them. Okay, we can help them. Okay, so please reach out for help and make sure you're observing. So what are the preventive steps that you can carry out as a parent? Of course, start open communication from an early age. How was school today? What happened in school? How's, your friends, how your teachers, and all of that. So if you started gisting early enough, of course it will be very smooth for you. Because if you have a child that talks to you, or that you have been talking to from their little age, and of course they would continue in their teenage. But if when you were children, you were not talking to them, they will not go and talk to you when they are teenagers. No, they won't. Right? So foster communication from an early age. Then of course encourage healthy coping mechanism. Allow your children journal. Let them write. Buy them journals. Let them write out their hearts. They can keep daily journals. What happens to them daily. They might want to write it out. They might want to draw. Involve in exercise, music. Let them dance. Okay. Let them just encourage them to inculcate healthy coping mechanisms. Yes, because children who smoke, go into alcohol, most of them go into those to cope. But if you can teach them, show them healthier ways to cope, then of course they will embrace it. You want to monitor your children on social media. Yes. Like I said, most of them are cyberbullied. Some of them have committed suicide on social media. So you want to watch what they are doing. I know parents who use other names to monitor their children. Whatever way you want to do, but just monitor them. Ask them about their friends online. Ask them. But again, if you're not judgmental, trust me, your children, you don't even need to change your name. Yes, if you're not judgmental. Yes, your children can add you as their friends, right? Please monitor them. Screen time is a big deal now. Many children spend many hours on the screen, sitting down on their tablet, computer, their phones, television, watching cartoons, social media, screen time, gaming, screen time. You want to monitor it and reduce it. We've seen so many games too, for instance, that has led many teenagers into pornography. Yes, I would not want to call it now, but of course, when we get to maybe pornography or addiction, of course, we would hear so many games. It starts as a game, and at the end of the day, the games would lead them to sites. We've seen games that they start out and then the game tells them what to do next. Yes, so let's watch and please monitor your teenagers. Monitor them. Okay. Can you see me? Winnie? Okay. Thank you. So, what is that one thing you'll be doing differently today, dear parents? What's that one thing you would do differently today? What's that one thing you do differently today? Now, please don't like seeking help. Reach out. Therapy, counseling is not a taboo. It's not, okay? Reach out for help today. Now, your teens' mental health is as important as their physical health. You know how you go to the hospital for regular checkup? Yes, you want to check up with your counselor, with your child's counselor regularly, right? Pay attention, have open conversations, talk with your children, bond with them, connect with them, right? And I'm sure they would want to reach out to you when they have an issue. Now, if you have found this video helpful, please like, please share, right? And then invite your friends. We are here every Sunday at 8 a.m. And don't forget to catch replays. Don't forget to reach out. Okay, so the videos usually are uploaded on our YouTube channel. Please, if you have not subscribed, if you have not followed me, please do that. On YouTube as Counselor Ruth Gainro. Thank you all for joining. And please don't forget, there is no health without mental health. You have your teenagers have a breakdown, you want to book a session for counseling, and trust me, you'll be amazed at what your teenager would turn into. Yes, because you see that bubbling, happy teenager again. Thank you, and until come your way again next week.